All right, Larry, we're live. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing, Jim?
I am doing great. I'm really looking forward to this. It's
Me
been
too.
a long time coming. A lot of people ask us all the time, what does that mean or what does this mean? And tonight we're really going to break it down. And just so you know, I've got a lot of the graphics that I'm pulling up right now. So they're going to be in the background ready to go for you when you need them. So if you wonder what I'm talking about or what we're saying, it's all going to be on screen for you. So not to worry.
That's good.
Anyway, so let's get started a little bit. I think it's important to share, where some of these philosophies derived from before we even get into what they are, because I think what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention, but hardship and reality checks birthed a lot of what we're feeling and what we're going through. Don't you think?
I do. So, one of the things that I think that everyone can count on us for is transparency. We're very generous with sharing of the failures that we've had and also the successes. But I believe that to answer your question, like, where did this come from? I think your biggest learning comes from your failures. Like, Jim, you always say when you go to the gym and you work out, you're not really building up the muscle, you're tearing down the muscle. And then in its rest period is when it builds up. So the real learning, I think, comes from the failures, and then obviously the ability to translate and interpret the failure and then pivot it into success, because you don't want to keep failing and failing and failing again. But failures are where the learning is. And I think one of the things that we can give you when you're building your business or building your life is an understanding and an ability and an awareness and an increased access to be able to pivot and turn your failures into successes.
Yeah, for sure. And there's I got all these uploaded now, so I can give you my undivided attention. I can't believe I forgot to do that. That's the beauty of a live broadcast, is you never know what you're going to forget to do, and you just play catch up. For me, it was not. I wasn't even really aware, to be honest with you, that it was a philosophy per se. It was just how I lived my life and what was going on, and people would say, "Well, that's an interesting way of looking at things." And it made me realize that, yeah, maybe it was an interesting way of looking at things. Doesn't everybody always see the good in terrible, horrific situations, or can't they find it? And so where do you want to start? What philosophy do you want to tackle first, Larry? And we can just go right into it.
Well, I like, one of my favorite philosophies is why negative situations are really good and why negative experiences are really good. And just briefly, you don't need to find the good in the negative situation. All you need to do is, if you are in a negative situation or you're in bad shape, and I'll share with you, like, when I was hooked on drugs, when I was living out of my car, when I was homeless, et cetera, I had lots of these negative situations. And I wasn't in the negative situation thinking, oh, gee, this is really good. Something, it's going to be great. I just held on to a little bit of white light, so to speak, of saying something good is going to come from this. I don't know what it is, but I know I wouldn't be in this situation if there wasn't something to learn from it and a place to grow from it. So the first thing I want to share is, wherever you are is where you are, and your reality is real at this moment, but understand your reality is really old news, meaning wherever you are is the sum composite of your thoughts, actions, and beliefs that led you up to this moment to where you are. So even though it's real, in a larger sense, it's old news. That's my first tip of the night.
Yeah, so let's start there. And one of the things that you had talked about, and you actually taught me, and I find it really you're kind of unparalleled in your ability to do this. And that was the art of the pivot. And could you explain to everybody who is listening, maybe seeing you for the first time, hearing us for the first time, what exactly is the art of the pivot?
So there's an art to pivoting. And what that means is anytime you're living what you don't want, or anytime you know what you don't want, or anytime you have a negative experience, at the same time you're living that negativity, you also know at the same time more of what you do want. So if you're in a really bad relationship, your desire for a good relationship is stronger than if you were in no relationship. When I was broke and homeless, my desire for money was greater than at any other point in my life when I had the money. When I was hungry or I was cold, my desire for warmth and food was greater than when I wasn't hungry or I wasn't cold. So pretty much what I'm saying is the core base to start with the concept of the art of the pivot is anytime you're living what you don't want, you know more clearly what you do want. And that's the good news, because clarity is a really good feeling. And then it's about taking the bounce, and then it's about giving more of your energy and your focus to what you do want versus what you don't want. And that is, a philosophy that we'll get in if you choose to work with us and explore our website and more resources later. But that's the appetizer, so to speak, for tonight.
Yeah. So I've seen you though, when things happen, you're like, I mean, you it's like, I don't want to give away any secrets, but like you let it frazzle you for just a second, right? And then all of a sudden it's like,
yeah, and
it's a light switch,
right?
with
And
you.
you can, I mean, it's perfectly fine. Wouldn't want to put a time frame on anything. Like, it can frazzle you for a few minutes. It can frazzle you for a few days. I don't think I would let it go more than a week, just as a general rule. But you want to sit with it and you want to feel it, but you want to feel it for the point of the pivot, not for the feeling of how bad it is. So process it in whatever time you take, but don't take too long.
Yeah, can we, and we really didn't, I'm just typing this in so we can pop it up on the screen. And I didn't spell it right, so let's fix that. All right, perfect. So can we go into a couple of examples for each of these? Do you mind if I just interrogate you a little bit on this?
Not at all.
Okay, so with the art of the pivot, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a little bit here, and it's all well and fine to say don't let it frazzle you, or
well, I didn't say that. I said let it frazzle you. Like, you want to feel the pain from it, but the point of feeling the pain is so that when you're feeling all that pain, you also know more clearly what you do want. You can't have one without the other. Like, everything is two ends of the stick. When you don't have something, you know what you want to have in its place.
Right. But how do you then, what is the mental place that you put yourself in? How do you pivot? Because, like, let's be honest, shit happens. And sometimes the shit is shitty, right? It happens and it like tears you down. And,
yes,
there's a lot of people right now. Let's look at real life situation, right? So let's take it from two ends of the spectrum. There's people that can't find work. There's other people, if they go to work, because of the way things are set up, they might actually make the exact same money and be without their kids. And then you've got employers that can't find people to work because of the economic situation. Then you have people that just lost their job because their business is closed. You've got people that are on a reprieve from paying rent because they don't have the money, but soon the avalanche is going to come. So it's well and good to say pivot.
Those people, like, I totally get it, because I was one of those people that couldn't pay the rent and was evicted and didn't have a home for several months, almost a year. I've been on drugs. I've been I've been there. So I get it. It isn't easy. It hurts.
Right. So you're seasoned. You've been there. You've done that. Yeah. I've had situations, and it's fun and fine to sit up here and talk about that. But give me some meat, Larry.
I'll answer your question.
Okay.
It's very simple. It's really simple. And the answer to the question is, you have to make a decision that you want to feel good. That nothing is more important than you feeling good. And that's really that now I can take that a step further, and I will, because people may not understand that. But I mean, there's no point to live an unhappy life. So you want to find happiness. And happiness isn't necessarily the conditions that surround you, but happiness is a result of focus. Meaning, one of my favorite quotes and one of my favorite sayings is, life is like a buffet. You get to choose what you want to put on your plate. So imagine you go to a buffet and you don't eat meat, or you don't eat pork, or you don't, eat certain things, and you come to the station where they serve that. You can sit there and argue about it and demand that it be taken off, or you can just move on to the next best pleasing thing. So here's what I want to say, and here's how I practice it, and here's how it worked for myself. When I was in any of these situations, homelessness, addiction, poverty, whatever you want to call it, I could not go from being miserable and depressed to being happy. It was too big a jump. I wasn't there. So you take it in phases, and you have to ask yourself, which feels worse, depression or frustration? Frustration feels better than depression. So which feels worse, depression or revenge?
Revenge always feels better.
Right, because I felt that I was wronged and I was victimized. I felt when I was homeless and living that people had taken advantage of me, that people didn't step up to help me, that all these things. And I frankly wanted revenge on them. But that felt better than being depressed, which is really the lowest emotional level you can feel, because depression in its raw sense is just a feeling of powerlessness. You just don't want to move. You're just too depressed. So revenge has movement in it. And from revenge, you can maybe get to anger. Anger is a little bit of a better feeling than revenge. And then from anger, you can get to frustration. So you begin to move yourself up the emotional scale. And you may sit in one of these, emotions for a period of time, but movement is better than no movement. So is it better to be in darkness all day or in light for 1 minute? In light for 1 minute. And then that 1 minute becomes a minute and 15 seconds. And that minute and 15 seconds becomes 2 minutes. And that 2 minutes becomes 3 minutes. 3 becomes 4. And then pretty soon you have momentum. And then law of attraction takes over, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not saying you can go from, feeling horrible to feeling great, because it's really, that's a quantum leap. It's
for sure.
It's just, for the most part, probably not possible. But you just go a little bit better, just a little bit better, just a little bit better. Not great, but just a little bit better. Well, I really don't feel much movement. My life is still pretty much the same, but hey, I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit better. And then you use focus. So when I was living out of my car, I was in Wisconsin, and it was October, and I remember feeling depressed and angry and revenge and everything. But I also noticed at the same time, the leaves were golden. And I was happened to be looking at a lake, and I saw the reflection, and I thought to myself, wow, that's really pretty. So yes, I was homeless. Yes, I was hungry. I didn't know where I was going to eat or I was going to sleep that night. But at that moment in time, I saw the beauty of nature. And so I went through that buffet, and I said, wow, all these things are true. I don't know where I'm going to eat. I don't know where I'm going to sleep. But it's also really true that the leaves are golden. So for that minute, or maybe it was even 30 seconds, I just hung on to the fact that, wow, the leaves are pretty. And for 30 seconds or a minute, I felt a little bit relief of where I was.
I like that a lot. And one of the things that you said, Larry, and I think this is...
Can I just say, for anyone watching tonight, you're watching the best episode. I don't think I've ever explained it with more clarity than I have tonight.
That sounded so arrogant. I appreciate it, though. No, I'm kidding. No, that was great. It was probably your best, most clear explanation of it. And you threw something in there that I think is really important, and so many people overuse. There's one of the most overused words people talk about is love. I love pizza. I love that movie. You don't love that pizza. So it is overused, but I think the most overused word in the English language, especially in America, is decide. And it's the most misused word, because when you make a decision, when you truly make a decision, you eliminate all possibility for anything else. Like the root word of decide is side. And we've talked about this before, Larry, on some of these, but and there's powerful words attached to that: suicide, homicide, genocide, pesticide. Those things mean kill, right? Everything dies when those words are involved. And making a decision is the death of any other option. And people don't get that. So I think one of the things that you pointed out is decide, or one of the things that you said. And that's difficult in and of itself, to truly make a decision. What are some tips that you can share with people that are trying to figure out how to decide to pivot?
Well, again, I don't want to be making it over simplified, but I made a decision that feeling good was going to be really important to me, because I didn't want to live life and not feel good in living life. So I just made a decision that I wanted to feel good. Now, at the point you make the decision, the manifestation hasn't yet arrived, but it's kind of like when you're watching TV, you have many stations that you can watch. And whatever you set your receiver to it, the receiver is picking up a signal that's bringing that to you. And if you don't like the signal, or you don't like the station, you just flip a little button on your remote and it picks up a different signal. But it can't pick up the different signal if your receiver isn't set to it. So the first thing you have to do is worry about where your receiver is set. So I began to try every day to develop where my receiver was, because I knew I wouldn't be able to pick up that signal if I wasn't in the place to receive it. So most people think the law of attraction is about assertion, meaning I'm going to go out there and get what I want. But law of attraction is really about receiving. You first have to be in the place to receive it. And that's an inside job or an internal job, which that's the good news, because obviously we can't control conditions out there. We can only control how we respond to it. So if I'm understanding your question right, and maybe I'm going off, but the first thing I did when I was homeless or on drugs was I just decided that whatever experience I was living was going to be good. I didn't have to know how it was going to be good, but I set my receiver to good. And then I let God or the universe or law of attraction or higher power, whatever you choose to call it, fill in the blanks for me. But I set my receiver to, I'm going to feel good.
You said something, and I was waiting to see if you would say it tonight. I'm putting this in here as a note to the people that are listening to this or watching this. But, when you tune in to channel, I'll throw numbers out there, channel 200, right? It doesn't mean channel 300 isn't there anymore,
Exactly.
right? It's always there. All of the options exist. It's what you're open to receiving. And I think that's really important. And as we go into the next one, I think that seems to be really important, because that's an interesting take. And you created a term called the shifted reality. And I really like this. I remember when you were coming up with what it was. But share a little bit about the shifted reality, because I think that goes really in line with what you were just talking about.
Yeah, so the shifted reality, again, like all these things I developed when I was, broke, homeless, and not really knowing where I was going to walk or sleep or eat the next day, really not even knowing if I was going to live. So all of that stuff was actually very freeing to me. It's like it's in the Janis Joplin song, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Like I had totally lost everything, which was the bad news. But the good news was, wow, I was totally free. And also the good news was everybody thought I was an idiot and a loser. So like the great news about hitting rock bottom is you can't go any deep. Like, you're already down there. So like that is kind of fun in and of itself. And again, not that I'd want to be there again, but since I was already there, why not choose fun? So,
right.
Yeah.
No, and we've already talked about how the shifted reality is not really a philosophy; it's a result of the philosophy.
So the shifted reality is there are many concurring realities at any point in any minute of any day. So you may be thinking about how you hate your job, or you hate your boss, or you've been wronged or victimized. All those are real realities. Those are real realities to you. But at the moment that you're feeling that, you also have another reality. For example, I'm talking to you through this live broadcast, but I'm also sitting in a really comfortable chair.
And he's right there.
Yeah.
Across from me.
I'm sitting in a comfortable chair. So the fact that my ass feels really good right now is a reality, because I'm just like thinking about it, and it's like soft, but yet it's firm. Like I've got good support.
Are you talking about your ass or the chair?
I'm talking about both, how it feels.
Oh.
So like I've got the good support, and I got feeling. That's one of my realities. But another reality is that I'm talking to you, and another reality is while I'm talking to you, I'm thinking of this. So like at any point in any time, you have a whole buffet of realities in which you can choose from. And so what I'm advocating, what I'm saying is like pick and choose the realities the way you would pick and choose the food that you that you eat when you go to a restaurant. You don't go to a menu. You don't go to a restaurant and look at the menu and say, let's see, what can I pick that's really bad? Oh, I don't like fish, so I'll have the fish special. No, you go to the next one that you like, even though the reality is their fish is on the menu. So what I'm saying is any situation you're in, you have multiple realities. And I think nothing demonstrated more clearly to me that when I was in I was in a state of panic, not knowing what I was going to eat and where I was going to sleep that night, but I saw the golden leaves on a fall day in Wisconsin reflecting off the water. And I thought to myself, wow, that is beautiful. That is equally as real as the fact that I had no money in my pocketbook.
Awesome. Are we ready to move into mastering the spin?
Sure.
Perfect. Let me pull mastering the spin up. So this was something that actually was birthed out of a negative comment to me. And it was really funny because I always find the silver lining, so to speak. I believe there's always something good in the most devastating things. You can find it. Dr. Seuss said it best. Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And that has always stuck with me. And all the tragedies that you experience in your life, there is something good. If nothing else, there's the memories. So for me, mastering the spin is about slowing down when something terrible is happening. And sometimes that's hard to do. So I don't want to be insensitive to the people that experience things like anxiety or PTSD or a lot of those debilitating, crippling things that don't allow you to slow down and do this. So I will just say it takes practice to be able to get there. But so the negative comment that birthed this was someone said to me, sure, you can spin it any way that you want. And I heard that quite a bit. So like for me, mastering the spin, and I could share specific examples, Larry, I'll let you kind of steer this. But mastering the spin is taking the situation, and no matter how bleak it looks, no matter how terrible you think things are at that moment, you have to realize two things. Number one, time truly does heal all wounds. There is no doubt about that. It is proven. And the second thing is the amount of time it takes is completely up to you. So you have to take a minute to slow down and figure out the silver lining of the situation you're facing. And you can do it in any situation that you're facing. Larry, I don't know if that covered it. It's hard when you're trying to get it all out and speak it to make sure that you covered things. So is there anything I missed in that?
No, I mean, I'll just add that mastering the spin is an art or a skill that one develops because we're always going to have conflict and turmoil in our life. The goal of at least what we teach and what I preach and what I believe is not to eliminate all the negativities. in life. It's to live life with the fullness and the gusto and all the flavor and all the energy that you have to live. And in that, you're going to have contrasts and you're going to have crashes and you're going to have all these things. But if you have an understanding of how to master the spin, the crash isn't so bad or the contrast isn't so bad. So it's accepting that we're going to have all of this because I want to live life to the max. I don't want to shield myself, and I don't want to deny myself experiences. But I also know that when I have those negative experiences, no matter how accelerated they are, that I've developed a skill where I can pretty much master the spin, so I can soften that for myself going forward.
Yeah, our top fan, Kylie, is dropping some nuggets of our own.
Yeah, building resilience. That's pretty much what it is.
For sure.
I don't want to live life in fear. So I'm gonna take chances, more chances than most people, but it's okay because when I fall, I've got the spin mastered and I'll come back stronger. And then it'll be even a better story.
That's great. So what I want to throw out there is everybody's gone through something that was devastating. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a career that you loved, the financial hardships, whatever they may be. And if anybody is brave enough to share one of those or pose the question, those of you that are listening live, obviously we can't go back. But if you do hear this after it airs live, we'll try and answer these questions as best we can, maybe in a follow-up. But if you have examples of situations that have happened to you where you would love to be able to put these things to practice, but you're not really sure how, we can walk through any live examples of that you would like as we move on to the next topics. Larry, I'll let you just kind of summarize the philosophies as we queue up the next portion of this.
Yeah, all the philosophies are about developing abilities to respond to whatever your conditions are in a way that works to your advantage, in a way that works to your benefit. So if someone could, share with me why feeling bad is better than feeling good, or why being negative is better than being positive, then, I'd jump on the negativity boat. But I don't care how much negativity is in my life, and there has been a lot. I don't care how many reasons I have to feel bad, and there's been a lot. I'm always going to just sit to the best of my ability, even if it's just for a minute of every day. And sometimes it has been only for a minute of each day, but just for a minute of that day in what could be versus what is. Because again, as I said, your reality or the what isness is actually old news.
I love that. And I'm going to just throw a couple things out in conclusion. Let me put myself back on the screen here. So there's a couple of things that just for most people would be insurmountable. And I'm just going to kind of rapid fire these at you, Larry. And this is unplanned, so hopefully I don't catch you too off guard, but they'll see how skillful you are. Side note, Larry and I used to do these live events. And one of the things that Larry would say after every live event would be, Jim, if you just would have let me know at least maybe 2 minutes in advance that I was going to be speaking and what I was going to be speaking on, that would have been great. Right. So we do this a lot. But Larry, so I'm going to hit you with a couple rapid fire things. And I just want you to give us your spin on these or how you did. So can I be raw?
Sure, I wouldn't expect it any other way.
I know, but I just want to clarify for those sensitive, silly people that might be listening, not knowing who we are yet. But so you were addicted to drugs.
Yes.
You were addicted to crack.
Yes.
Most people don't come back from that.
Right.
Or they come back a shell of a person. You've not only come back, but you've triumphed. Right. So what was, and we can approach this one of two ways. For right now, I'm just going to talk about the spin. And we'll go into more later, but tell me something amazing that came from being hooked on crack.
My children. So when I was scoring the drugs in the neighborhoods, I had a couple of drug dealers, and each of those drug dealers had kids. And when I would go into the neighborhood, I would always see these kids, and it was so foreign to the way that I was raised and how what I knew, because I had never experienced those type of of neighborhoods before, but yet, I saw a lot of love and I saw a lot of caring, and it tore down the, stereotypes, etc. And after a while of being in those neighborhoods, I remember speaking to and I'm just going to make the story really short, but feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. But eventually I ended up taking custody and adopting the kids because my desire to give these children a better life and my desire to bond with these kids and everything was greater than my desire for the crack. And that obviously changed my life forever. It changed their life. And I don't think I would be alive or sober, at least. I'd probably be in jail if it wasn't for the kids, because I had no reason to live. But when I saw the kids there, like, they were my reason. So smoking crack was incredible because it's gave me the best gift I ever had, my children. And now I have the most amazing grandchildren, and I've intersected with cultures and races and socioeconomic backgrounds that I would have never been able to intersect with before if I hadn't smoked crack, and the same thing for them. So it was a brilliant experience. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to hit you with your Achilles heel. The Cardinals continue to lose. Master that spin for me.
Yeah, so I've mastered pretty much everything, at least, to a pretty solid degree, but I can't figure it out with sports. So I'm still in a really bad mood when the Blues lose and when the Cardinals lose, and I have a hard time seeing the good in that. But
so Tara is a coach. She helps men. Kylie's a coach who works with a lot of men. So maybe you guys can help Larry get all this spinning figured out for sports. But all kidding aside, I want to hit you with two more really quickly, and I want to go from there. So your addiction led to other things in your business life in Arizona, and things went downhill for a while. What happened with that?
Well, you mean when I lost all my money?
Well, you lost your money, your relationship with your business partner at the time went downhill, and
everything did. Yeah, I mean, I was smoking drugs and spending all my money and didn't care about my life, and just really didn't have a desire to live. The only thing that made me happy was getting high. That's it. I just wanted to get high.
So, but what is something good that came ultimately from that? What's your spin on the loss, the relationship with your business partner? And I know you worked things out eventually, but what was the spin that happened?
Well, I think, the thing to remember is everything in life is temporary, because, you are where you are, and where you are is just a snapshot in time. There's no way I would have ever gone on my whole life as a drug addict, because A, I would have died, then I would not be a drug addict, I would be dead, or B, I would have gotten sober. So you don't wherever you are in a situation, it can't last forever, because at some point, even through death, you get out of it. So if I'm understanding your question, what are the great things that came out of it is that when I was in these negative situations, two things happened. One is I didn't judge myself for being in that negativity. I really didn't. I had to take a lot of time to learn the self-love. And I think this is just my personal opinion with addicts. There's so much shame and guilt that comes from using the drugs, or losing your family, or losing your business or home, or whatever the repercussions are of losing the drugs. But there isn't enough, and I want to be sensitive to what I'm saying, because I'm not promoting drug use here. I'm really not. But at the same time, I felt really good when I was high, and I wanted to feel good. I was like everybody else out there. I wanted to be happy, but I couldn't find happiness in my life. I was void on the inside. The drug filled that happiness. So shouldn't I deserve some happiness, even if it was for 6 months until I OD'd, or a year till I got put in jail? So I began to forgive myself for choosing the route that I went. And in the forgiveness of myself, I kind of released the resistance that I was holding back to having that quality of life that I deserved. And I truly, like I said to God or the universe, that, show me something great that's going to come from this drug addiction, because everyone thinks it's awful. And I said, it's not awful. Like, something good has to come of something that I love so much. That is kind of crazy, but that's what I said to myself. And then out of it, like, were the kids, and I saw the kids, and I developed a relationship with the moms and everything. And that was my way out of it. But I don't think I would have saw that way out if I didn't release the self-judgment and the self-hatred that I had to doing what I was doing. Because the whole time I was doing it, I knew something good was going to come from it. That's really hard to tell your parents or your siblings or your friends or your business partner, hey, I'm doing something that's awful, and I know it's awful, and I know it's illegal, I know I could die from it, I know I could go to jail from it, I know I could ruin my life from it, but you know what? I really think something good's going to come of it. So support me in my journey. It doesn't work like that, but that's the way that I internalized. I couldn't voice it to anyone, but that's what I voiced to myself. So I hope that answers your question. That's what I would share with anyone. Just trust that something good is going to come of it, because you are a child of God, or you are a child of the universe, and you're worthy. You're worthy.
Yeah, so I want to pivot from that, because one of the things that happened to us was we lost a major business during the pandemic, and around $1 million in losses overall. And part of the reason we lost it is because we did something that we had been telling our clients to do but failed to do for ourselves. And that was, we took a look really deep inside of the business. And I want to give you guys just a visual example, if I could. Let me move this off screen for just a second. So, but I want you to just pick, if you're watching this live, you can see that Larry and I are side by side. So I want you to pick one of us to look at right now. Okay, and when you're looking at one of us in the camera, now I want you to look at the other person. Okay, and now that you've done that, I want you to look at both at the same time. And as you struggle with that, you're going to realize that it's not possible. You cannot physically look at or focus on two things at the same time. My friend Kylie, who you see on here, has done a really good job trying to make me be more present, and recommended a good book called The Power of Now that I'm listening to. And she's I jokingly called her a smart person and then challenged her when she said, get rid of all sports. But she's a brilliant, brilliant leader, and I value when I get to talk to her about those types of things. But so we looked at our business, and we looked at it in a series of what was important to make sure that the business could thrive and survive. And the work-life balance thing, that's a joke. So we've talked about that before. There's work-life integration, there's blending, but you can't focus on two things at the same time. So you just need to make time and be present. Shout out to Kylie again. Be present on the one thing that you're focused on, and give it the time and the attention that it needs to flourish, birth the idea, whatever it is. Work-life integration, she corrects me. But here's the thing. When we took our business through the Focus 10 that we had developed, which breaks it into 3 key areas, one of those being stability, one of those being the voice of the business itself. We looked at those, and we figured out that our business model was flawed. It couldn't continue the way it was going. It didn't work. So out of the loss of $1 million business came $1 million realization. And that realization led us to the Focus 10. And the Focus 10 is really centered on an individual as the leader of their business, and their willingness to assess themselves, make the changes necessary to evolve, and subsequently grow. And there's 10 focus areas broken into 3 categories. And from there, we developed the Focus 10 for you. And it's the same general premise, but it's rooted in 3 key areas in your life that should be important to you. And within those, there's 10 focus areas. And on the 23rd, and I'm going to put the link here, we are going to be doing the first Focus 10 workshop. And it's going to break this down. It'll be an opportunity to get fully introduced. What we haven't shared with you here today is that as soon as we go offline, I'm going to take our website offline. And when it comes back up, those of you that know things about website, you have to take the one down to move it over and bring it up. But when it comes back up, there will be all kinds of new tools on the website. There's been a complete overhaul of the website. And in there, there's a teaser for the Focus 10. And after the workshop on the 23rd, which you can get tickets for right there, and it's a virtual event. After that workshop on the 23rd, we'll put a lot of the tools that are in that workshop on there. So this is going to be an introduction to it. And I want to share a couple really cool things. One of those happened today, and Larry will appreciate this more than anybody because there's a hidden layer of inside joke here. So I'm driving in the car today, and Andrew turns to me and he goes, "Dad?" And I go, "Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Andrew was exposed to someone with COVID, so I get to hang out with him a ton. So mastering the spin because he's on quarantine. They won't let him in school, even though he's negative for COVID. But nonetheless, I got to spend some time with him. And he turned to me and he goes, "Dad?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I want to go to Puerto Vallarta." And I go, "Me too, buddy." And he goes, "No, I want to go home to Puerto Vallarta." And Larry and I always joke when we land in Puerto Vallarta, we're like, "We're home." And I didn't even know that he had picked up on that. But part of living your best self and your best life is just, flowing and you radiate what you believe. I think I'm going to look for this comment. Kylie said, "Wherever your intention goes, energy flows." And that's so true. But I think it exudes out beyond just the flow of energy. And there's like an osmosis that happens with the people around you. They pick up on it. They thrive in it. They appreciate it, and they evolve as you evolve. And it's really kind of cool. My son is picking up some of the words that we say and going from there. But just sidebar note, I'm being unpresent. So Larry, the Focus 10 workshop is going to be fun. We don't even have just like real transparency, right? We don't even have all the tools developed. It's something we've been following. It's been something that we've been engaging in without being able to take it and put it into the words of what it is. So over the next really 2 weeks, we're going to have to build out this platform and get it ready to share with the world. So we'll ask for your forgiveness if it's a little raw and it's a little rough, but we'll get there. But the principles that are in there work. And from there, we're going to be releasing a challenge around the Focus 10 for your life, Meraki challenge. We've been trying to do this for a little while, again, getting the tools together. But I want to take the last 10 minutes that we have, Larry, and talk about what we decided. In taking our business through the Focus 10, we realized where we wanted to go with the business. And as a result, we something that we introduced the other night, and we're going to really dive into it tonight with the general rules. And on September 11th, we will begin accepting applications for partners. Stefan, Self-Ruler West, how are you, sir? Welcome, I see you. So Larry, do you want to talk about kind of the intent behind the Partners program and the Partners initiative that we did and how we got here?
Yeah, so in doing this self-assessment of ourselves and of our business, that one of the many things that Jim and I have in common is just the love of building dreams. Because both of us have been in places where arguably we didn't have a right to dream. We were so defeated and so down under. And nobody had faith in us. I remember when I was coming out of my homelessness and addiction, there was no one willing to give me an apartment. I had no credit. I had no one that believed in me. And Jim has had similar experiences. So the Partners Program is about several things, but really at its core, it's about building people's dreams. And that is one thing that we are both passionate about. So through the Partners Program, we are going to be able to help someone build their dream of a business, build their dream of a better life. We're looking for people that have an existing business. Maybe they've had it, 1 or 2 or 3 years, and it's done well to a degree, but it just hasn't taken off to where they thought it could or where they think it could go. And we are looking to work with people who have that concept in place and want to take it to the next level. And again, not only build their business, but build their dreams. Because, I don't want to say too much, but I'll say this. Like, one of the things in the Focus 10 is your drivers. And a lot of people think like, oh, I want a nicer house, or I want a nicer car, or I want to go on more vacations. But that's like the manifestation of it. But what's the driving philosophy or driving force behind that? So we want to be able to, get in deep with you and figure out the reasons why you want that. Because when you figure out the reasons why you want it, when you don't have it and you're not getting it and you're in that slump, you're so rooted in the conviction that you want it that it really doesn't matter where you are, because where you are is just where you are. But if you don't take that deep enough to know why you want it, then that's when you can kind of get run over, so to speak. So the Partners Program is we're looking to lock arms with an individual or individuals that, like I said, have a business, they're generating revenue from it, they're on the path, but they're just not where they want to be. And hopefully, with a little help from us, financially, mentoring, resource-wise, etc., we can help them build their dreams.
Can I share a story real quick? Something I heard. This is not my story, but it was a story that I've heard told many times, and it's about a man that is trying to chase his dream, and a person asks him, after other people say things like, "You need to go get a real job," or "You're letting everyone down." And those things have been said to me, and Larry, I know they've been said to you. But somebody asked him, and he goes, "Well, why are you doing that?" And he goes, "Well, I want to get a bigger house." And the guy goes, "Is that it?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he said, in the most professional way possible, "Bullshit." He said, "Why do you want to get a new house?" "Well, house isn't big enough." And he goes, "Lots of people don't have a house as big as yours. So what's the problem?" And he goes, "Well, right now I have 3 children and all 3 kids are sharing a bedroom." He goes, "So what's the problem?" And he goes, "Well, my little girl's getting older now, and she has 2 little brothers that are in the same room, and she doesn't have any privacy." And he goes, "Lots of kids don't have privacy. So what's the issue?" And he said, "Well, she's been asking me every night before we go to bed if she's going to get her own room soon. And I keep telling her soon. And now she's asking, when is soon?" And the other night, I avoided saying goodnight to her because I was scared to not have an answer for her. And he started crying. He said, "I never want to not be able to say goodnight to my little girl because I'm hiding from her because I can't give her what she needs." And that was the why, right? That was the reason why he did what he did. He chased what he chased at the speed that he chased it. And he was relentless in getting there, and he got there. So the Partners Program is going to be something a little bit different. We're willing to invest anywhere between 5 and 6 figures into your dream, And we'll work with you. We'll introduce you to the connections that we've made. We'll help you with exposure, additional partnerships. We'll collaborate with you. And the goal behind this is, and I'm going to be like transparent because that's what you guys have come to expect from us. We're doing it because we want to make money. We want you to make money. And this is about someone believing in you enough to invest in you to help you get there. So how it's going to work is you'll be able to go to our website. Again, as soon as the website comes back up after we take it down today and upload all of this stuff, you'll be able to go to the jimandlarryteam.com/partners. And let me put this in here. jimandlarryteam.com/partners. Did I spell everything right? I did. The jimandlarryteam.com/partners. And you'll be able to see all of the information on here. And from here, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to, beginning September 11th, you'll be able to submit your application. And along with the application, we're going to need a 60 to 180 second video explaining why you're looking for a partner and what you're looking to accomplish. And what I think is really cool about how we put together the Partners Program is the fine print is probably the most bold thing on the screen. So you'll be able to see, what's in it for everybody and what we're looking for. And we're going to document all of this. We'll share with everybody along the way what Partners is up to, what we're working on, who we're looking at. And you guys will have an opportunity to sound off and sound in on the people that we choose. Now, if you want to throw some money our way and help us with the partner program, then you can have a vote. If not, we're going to actually make the final decision on who we support, and we're going to go from there. But we might ask your opinion. So, Larry, did I forget anything on partners?
No, I guess just the one thing that I want to add is anyone who has any idea can take a stab at this. So there are no limitations in that. But having said that, for me at this time, I think we're looking for someone, again, that has an established business, that is generating revenue, that's been in business for, a year or two or longer, that wants to get to the next level of the business versus someone that just has an idea in their head and is looking for someone to come in and help start it. At the same time, if you have that idea in your head, pitch it. I will tell you that I was reading in the paper a year ago today, or a year ago, like a few days ago when I was reading this, the Cardinals were 10 games out of the wild card standing. This was in 2011, 10 games out, hardly any chance to win. And they made it into the wild card, and that year they won the World Series. Who would have thought? Not very likely.
Blues
Same thing with the Blues
thought.
a couple of years ago. They were in last place in January. They came, they busted out the second half. They won the Stanley Cup. So I'm not saying that won't happen. And if you have that dream, please do. But I also just want to state a disclaimer to what we're really looking for.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think I've said here's the thing 4 times. Remind me to edit myself out. So here's the point with what we're looking at here.
Here's the point. I'm still trying to figure out the art of the pivot from losing $1 million in the last business deal. So I'm looking for something that's going to make some money.
Yeah, no,
has a little track record behind it.
Yeah,
I can be blunt.
He's still bitter. He's not mastering the spin. Just ruined the 1 hour presentation.
The spin. It hasn't been mastered yet.
Fair enough. What we're trying to do is we're trying to find the right person, the right business, the right idea. So here's the true disclaimer. We're not certain we're going to invest in anyone, right? So in order to be the right one, there's a couple things that we're going to know right away. Number one, you're going to tell us why you're the right one. And number two, we're going to believe you. Mm-hmm. And that is the very bare minimum qualification on all of this. So I encourage everybody that has an idea, and I'm going to contradict Larry here, because what if your idea matches up with another person that submitted that already has something going, and the two of you could be partnered
together?
together?
I didn't say don't. I said everyone who's got that passion, that idea, should do it. I gave case in point the Blues and the Cardinals.
So they had an established team. Sorry, I couldn't resist. All right, anyway, so that's, Larry, that's all I've got for tonight. We want it to be an hour. We're an hour and 2 minutes-ish right now. So I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds so that you can close us out. And I just want to thank everybody for watching. We're going to ask you to follow us, like us. Please subscribe. There's a couple things we're wanting to do, and subscribers are required to make them happen. So, Larry, it is on you to close us out. Thanks for watching.
All right. Thank you. I will give you the final thought for the day, or my final thought, at least as it stands for now. And that is the reason that anybody wants anything. And think about this later tonight, or think about this in the course of upcoming days. The reason anybody wants anything is because they feel and they think, and the having of it or the doing of it, that they will feel better. That's the only reason anybody wants anything, because they think they will feel better in the having it or the doing it. So my advice is look for ways to feel better now. Have a great evening, everybody.